Hi, I'm Peter J. Ray. Welcome to Adventures in History. Today's topic is Dearest Mother, Love Ruthie. Ruth Smallshaw Ray's Letters to Her Mother, 1946, Part 18. This was originally published as Smallshaw Family Memories Collection, or SFMC number 20, published on May 11th, 1997. Canadian Pacific Great Lakes Steamships, SS Kerevatin, Sunday, September 15th, 1946. My dearest mother, hello, sweetheart, and how is Ruthie's best girl? I sent you a card from the Sioux this morning, but thought I'd better give you the details. We're really enjoying it, and I'm so glad that I'm taking this boat again, believe me. I feel as if I appreciate it even more than last year, if possible. As I mentioned, we got a berth on the train, so felt better after that. And since the meals on the boat are tops, there's nothing more to wish for. If this sounds a bit disconnected, it's the same circumstances. Monday, as in Saskatoon when I tried to write you with an extra boyfriend patiently waiting. The crowd on this boat is really super compared to last year, and everyone is really showing us a good time. Shortly after we left, a couple of handsome fellows introduced themselves. Too bad it turned out that one is on such good terms with Don in Prince Albert. Said he saw him at the post office the night he left. We had a wonderful time at the dance, quite the big rush. We took in the scenery and really enjoyed ourselves during the day. Marion corralled the engineer or vice versa, and he showed us the engines and working of the ship. And the chief steward gave Ruthie the rush. After supper, there were 6 fellows waiting at the door. A couple took me to church and then the dance where the chief steward cut them out. Really good for my morale. Like to tell you all about it. He later took me to lunch, all alone in the dining room. Marion's fellow didn't dance, so they didn't. I haven't had such a good time for quite a while. The meals are very good. I got weighed in Winnipeg for you, 130 pounds. Good? We'll see how it holds. I certainly hope that everything's going well with you, my dearest one. Tell Buddy the set is absolutely indispensable by now. If the rest of the trip is half as nice as this, it's been worth waiting for. I'm very, very lucky, and certainly hope I'm a good enough teacher to deserve the opportunities like this. Love, Ruthie. Ford Hotel, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, September 16th, 1946. My dearest mother, how's my wonderful mother doing? It's an honest to proven fact that you're the person I keep wanting to tell everything, and everything is swell. I didn't finish my letter on the boat. Funny how time seems to vanish. I had a royal send-off from the chief steward. Gave me a button from his uniform as souvenir. The waiters seemed all eyes, as apparently he doesn't usually have a girlfriend every trip like some do. Marion's engineer was on duty. The 2 fellows I jilted the night before were waiting at the dock too. Loved that. We passed a few other boats both day and night, and did I ever get sort of a thrill out of it. Some passengers were let on at the Sioux, and the U.S. Coast Guard had to come to take them back. Quite the experience. This is country I like. I appreciate it more, if possible, than last year. The fall foliage and colors are breathtaking. Whole trees in red nest to green and tinted yellow and orange ones. Beautiful. It's been remarkably beautiful weather. We've appreciated it too. I wish right now that I could talk to you, Mother dear, about so much. It's a wonderful life, and I'm lucky to be in it. I'm seeing Sybil and Jackie, and Marion's aunt and uncle are in. I'll write more later. Love you. Best mother possible. Love, Ruthie. Detroit Leland Hotel, Detroit, Michigan, USA, September 18th, 1946. Dearest Mother, hello, darling, back to the scene of the crime. Detroit, where I really decided the United States was for Ruthie. It's nice to be back, to be with Marion, but best of all to realize that my ideas have changed somewhat during the year. I am all for being in the middle of things at times, but I don't believe I'd really like to live here now. Maybe I'll change it again. It is swell, though. I feel as if I was more familiar with things this trip, and I'm quite proud of my accomplishments in finding things and arranging for the trip. We had a lovely trip from Toronto to Detroit, and managed to find our way via buses to the hotel, Andoria near the Fisher Building. We saw as much of the city as we could and leave for Cincinnati tonight. Our ticket was only $28.44 from Toronto, but $23 more for berths, so we're setting up. We didn't go via Chicago. Oh, Mother, I was so happy, but I do miss you. We get into St. Augustine, Florida, Friday night, the 20th, about 11:30. So as my horoscope says, with your coming birth date, you enter a new cycle of life. You get out of life what you put into it, so I hope I'll be a good teacher this year. I should. Thanks for not letting me buy anything at home. There's so much newer style to everything here, although we haven't done much shopping. I still can't get over what a wonderful time I had on the boat. It was swell. I got weighed in Winnipeg, 130 pounds. In Detroit today, 128. Before in Saskatoon after the lake, 122. So see what Mama's cooking did? I'll say bye, and I do love you. Love, Ruthie. P.S. Write to me, Florida School for the Deaf, St. Augustine, Florida. Florida School for the Deaf, St. Augustine, Florida, September 23rd, 1946. My dearest Mother, whew, and we're finally here. Honestly, Mother, this is the grandest experience that I hardly know where to begin. It was so nice to get your letter and wire the morning after we arrived. Really swell, and didn't make me feel so far away after all. Thanks a million, dear. I could go for a letter from you 20 times a day, so if you ever have a spare minute, you know who would appreciate a letter from you. I realize that so far my description of the trip must be very haphazard. To tell you the truth, in my mind, it still is. I guess a person can just take so much in the way of new experiences, and from then on it takes time to penetrate. The trip was fine. I was saying to Marion that I should have a little book to put down the things that are new to us and things that have happened. As I told you, I had some sleep from Regina to Winnipeg, and it was swell to see Bonnie and Marion and Ruth. Bonnie did not go with me to Ruth's, though. Well, then we had a sleeper to Fort William, and I was talking to Mel in Port Arthur. As far as the trip went, the boat was the most pleasant part of it. We got off at the Sioux, so made a nice break in it. However, I could have stayed on for days. The weather was simply beautiful, so clear and sunny. It was the same boat I was on last year, too. There was a much nicer crowd than last year, and as I mentioned, I had a wonderful time at the dance each night, which always makes Ruthie happy. The second day, the engineer showed Marion and I through the engine room and that part of the boat, and we threw our little shovelfuls of coal on the fire. I went to church service that evening, and after they showed us the steering and radar in the top part of the boat, really felt proud of ourselves. The chief steward gave me a big rush at the dance, and after took me to lunch in the dining room at the head table, and escorted me off the boat the next day, and gave me one of his buttons. Big thrill. It was swell talking to Sybil and Jackie in Toronto, and get Jack's airmail letter. I was talking to his aunt in Detroit, but didn't see him as we decided not to go by way of Chicago. Had another birthday card from him, though. At this rate, I'll be aging quickly. It was swell to be in Detroit again, and we spent the night from Detroit to Cincinnati on the train. Do you know that you can't tell where one city stops and the next begins? It's very thickly populated. We got in the morning and spent the day there. It has the most beautiful train station, huge. First thing we did, went into a lunch counter, only they kicked us out because it was a bar. There wasn't any sign on it either. We shopped all day and sat in a booth for 2-hour dry cleaning service on our suits. Only we either made a hit with the fellows or they felt sorry for us sitting in a hot booth in our slips, because they had them ready in 29 minutes flat. Miraculous, and we felt cleaner. Oh yes, and a thrilling experience. We went up on an inclined streetcar at night, which carries you over the city up in the air from one level to a higher level. Beautiful. From then on, the Negroes were definitely segregated, and here hardly anyone more than speaks briefly to them. From Cincinnati to Atlanta was another 72 hours on the train. There were 2 sergeants with an army prisoner, and of course about 10 other soldiers and sailors who were interested in the girls from Canada. One sergeant spent the night getting me cups of water. It was the only way I could keep him at the other end of the car. He and another sailor both gave me a picture of themselves. However, just before we reached Atlanta, the prisoner jumped the train, so I guess they'd be in pretty serious trouble. The country from Cincinnati down is very wooded and beautiful. As I mentioned, we passed through Tennessee, Kentucky, Georgia, and into Florida on my birthday. They wired the FBI to look for the escaped prisoner. Everyone was kidding me about visiting the sergeant in jail in Atlanta, as he'd been asking me to stay over the weekend there. I wonder if that was the part of the town he was going to show me around. I felt sorry for him, though, but he should have kept his mind on his job. It gradually got hotter and damper, and here it's very beautiful and very hot. You'll have to keep reminding me what it's like at home. At the moment, I'm wearing panties, period. We got here at midnight, and everyone in cotton dresses, shorts. Saturday, they drove us around apartment hunting. We move tomorrow, $60 a month. Guess we'll be hitchhiking back, but it's worth it. It's right on the ocean. Oh yes, we drove down and got us a fistful of Atlantic Ocean. You can hear the ocean all the time, and it smells like the beach. It's simply beautiful here. The palms and orange trees and fig trees, banana trees, poinsettias and hanging moss, locusts, chameleons, snakes, all the things you read about. It's hard to believe it. Everyone's been grand to us. A couple of sailors from Jacksonville took us to the show Whistle Stop Saturday night, and Sunday we drove out to an air show at the airport. Today we had our first teachers' meeting at school, and tomorrow the kiddies come back. The weather seems very hot and damp. It's impossible to keep your hair in tight curls, but it's fluffy and no one seems to have wrinkles, and your complexion feels so soft and smooth. It seems so funny, but as Marion says, she keeps expecting that now school has started, that the teachers will begin to speak proper English, but they go on drawling out their words and cutting off the ings. Every once in a while we catch ourselves with a cane for can, and you all, and honey just comes naturally. We'll try to preserve our Canadian accent, though. In Jacksonville, a girl told Marion, "Will you all please speak English?" When she asked for a cone, they call it caon. This goes on and on. Now I know why I didn't learn to cook. Everything is different. Fried shrimp, fried chicken, avocados, pears filled with cheese, hot biscuits always, grits, like cream of wheat, thick, only they put butter or gravy on it instead of milk or sugar. Fried eggplant, iced tea, all these things I'd never had before. There's hardly ever meat, though. St. Augustine is very attractive, but so different. Narrow streets in the old part, and ancient city wall and gates. It seems so funny to see 1839 on the church wall in memory of someone. Marion went to the cathedral, and I to the Episcopal Church, right across from each other. Nice. The school campus is beautiful. Lily pools and white buildings. It's about 6 blocks solid. Oh yes, in Cincinnati and down it's called a square, not a block. It's so damp that it took me about a half hour to get nylons on. They seem to stick. From now on it's leg tan only. I got sunburn already on my neck and arms. Darn. Do you know that after all that fuss with visas, they didn't even ask for a passport or visa? We were never so bewildered. Imagine all that cash and bother. Gee, honey, thanks for sending on Marshall's letter. He sent me some of the snaps I'd never even seen. He said, "Hope you have a good time in Florida, but don't go falling in love with a dope and then have to marry him. You have a habit of falling in love too often." Maybe I am wrong. Huh. He sent a couple of pictures of his dad's place in Penticton. They really look as if it's lovely, and he said he was out the first 2 weeks in August and helped pick apricots, 170 tons. His dad has built a 6-roomed house and plans to build a 2-story house someday, maybe. Well, honey, how'd you like to see your daughter driving around in a big black sedan with a colored chauffeur in front? Dr. Settles had the chauffeur drive us around and over to the station to get our trunks and move them to our apartment. There was 3 days storage on them, but Dr. Settles just went in and talked to the man, and so no storage charges. They've been wonderful to us. See old Anderson help anyone out like that, eh? There really isn't any comparison, and I'm very glad we came. I think Marion is quite homesick. The night watchman said he thought she was. I said, "What about me? Don't I get any pity?" He said, "Oh, you'll be all right. Type of girl like you gets on fine anywhere." This is strictly a tourist city, and the rates are terrifically high. As long as we get by, it's worth it. At the moment, we're in the guest room. Twin beds, fireplace, private bathroom, a lovely suite. Practically everyone is dark, and the Negroes blacker than the ones in the north. Yes'm, no'm, yes'm. That's Stonewall, the chauffeur. It gets dark very early, though, by 6:30, but then everything humming by 7 and 8 in the morning. I'll be able to tell you more about the suite and school when I write again. Gee, I hope I hear from you. I'd like so much to see you and talk to you. It seems more like a year now than 10 days, honestly. But I don't wish I were back. I wish I were here. It's a great experience for me. Tell me about the weather at home and try to make me believe that there is a place where you wear clothes, 'cause it's cool. So far it's all novelty. When that wears off, we'll see how we really like it. It's strictly oral in the classroom, so they say. Well, dear, end of my writing tablet and all the love in the world to a wonderful mommy and swell brother and dad. I wish you weren't so far away. Love, your Ruthie. P.S. The sailors just arrived. Royal Alex Hotel, Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, September 13th, 1946. Editor's note. This letter is out of order. I'm sorry. Dearest Mother, how did Friday the 13th go with you, honey? So far I've watched the traffic and everything's fine. I got a fair amount of sleep on the train and was thrilled and pleased to have both Bonnie and Marion meet me at the foot of the stairs as I got off the train. Bonnie is looking fine, and after coffee I went up to her suite. It's really darling, and she seems very happy. She's looking for a job and as yet hasn't written her mother, for which I got after her. Nice to see her. I met Marion again downtown, and after shopping and showing her the banking procedure, we finally got up to Ruth's. They really seem contented, and you must tell Mrs. Nelson I think Herb will always be a good husband to Ruth. Her little girl is a dream, really pretty. Ruth's happy. It seems like we've been rushing all day. It was nice to see Marion. Honey, I love you. Our train leaves in a half hour, and I'll tell you more when I have more time. I'm fine. Don't worry. Miss me. I love you, Ruthie. To be continued. Well, that concludes today's presentation. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. God bless you. Take care. And I'll see you next time.